What's going on, YouTube? It's been a long time since I actually uploaded something. I've been trying to find out something I'm actually like okay with uploading, but I couldn't really find anything. Um, but luckily, Thanksgiving break rolled around and I was able to go home and attend the locals I usually play at and pick up a bunch of cards for a PK Horus adventure deck that I've been playing a lot on Dueling Book before Thanksgiving break, and it actually ended up working out pretty well. I went to three locals, and the first one I went to, I didn't do so good because I didn't have all the cards yet. I was still uh, collecting them, and then the second locals, I ended up going undefeated with the full deck, and then the last locals, I ended up going fifth place, which isn't terrible because top five got prizing, so technically it's still a win. But I'm gonna go ahead and get into the deck profile. There's a small change that I made to the list um, when I after the locals. So I'll go over that when I get to it, but it's just like really small. So the first thing I played three Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. This is your searcher. If it's in the graveyard, banish it to add the Phantom Knights card from deck to hand. So the monsters and the trap cards that become monsters. Really good. Um, I played three Silent Boots. It's a really good extender, and then in the graveyard, you can banish it as cost to search for a PK spell or trap card. Um, and then I played two Torn Scales, and then I played one Ragged Gloves, one Stained Greaves, one Ragged Gloves, and then spell or trap cards for the engine is a Rhoda and a Foolish Burial. And then for the trap cards, the two Fogblade and a Phantom Knight's Wing. So going over this engine a little bit, I most of the dueling book games that I played three Torn Scales and only two Ancient Cloak. But I kind of noticed that I was running out of this card like really quickly, and I was in situations where I like really needed a monster search. And then I just watched a couple deck profiles for this deck, and I think a lot of them were actually just playing the three cloak and only two torn scales because you only really need one, but having two is really good. Because you you don't have this banished as often as you do the ancient cloak. So I think this ratio worked really well. Um, I played the Stained Greaves just for that extra bit of extension, because most of the time I kind of felt like I had to use Ancient Cloak to search the Silent Boots, and at that point, I'm kind of out of extension from the hand. Um, so if I, or sorry, I noticed I was drawing boots in the hand a lot as my first five cards, and I would be forced to use this like when I didn't really want to, um, or like when I need to just go combo, and then I wouldn't have like extra extension capabilities, and I would have the ancient cloak in the graveyard, and I'm thinking, well, I don't really have much else to really like search to help me further my combo, and that's basically what Stained Greaves does. It's just good extension. Ragged Gloves to Foolish Burial. Torn Scales discards a card to send a Phantom Knight's card from deck to grave. Um, Fogblade is a Fiendish Chain. It just stops your opponent's effects. Uh, Wing gives a monster a permanent 500 and damage protection for the turn it was activated, and then all three of them can banish from the graveyard as cost to target and reborn a Phantom Knights monster. But yeah, that's the PK lineup. Super satisfied with the ratio. I feel like the the 3 cloak and the 2 torn scales worked out really well. And then for the Horus package, I played 3 Imseti. Imseti is absolutely busted. You send itself and another card from your hand to the graveyard to search for a King Sarcophagus and draw a card. So it effectively replaces the 2 cards that you send to grave. And then if it's in the graveyard, all the Horus monsters have the same effect where if you control King Sarcophagus, you can special it from the graveyard as like an inherent summon, so it doesn't start a chain link, which is kind of nuts. Played 1 Dwamatef and 1 Happy. You really only want to play one of those. I didn't play the 4th one, the one with the weird name, just because I felt like I already have these 2 as bricks that I saw quite often in like opening hands or drawing them. So I kind of wanted to just minimize the amount of bricks while also playing the like optimal amount of the Horus stuff. And then for the ratio of King Sarcophagus, I played for the locals. I played 2 King Sarcophagus and I played 3 Prosperity. But after the last locals where I got 5th, I ended up drawing way too many copies of Prosperity in the opening hand with just a dead hand and my opponent ashing it, and it was just not good. So, and all the dueling book games that I've had, if I have access to either one of these cards, I'm I'm going to be sitting really well. I think most of the time when I see this engine, I end up winning. Uh, King Sarcophagus says up to 4 times a turn, you can send a card from your hand to the graveyard, Foolish Burial a Horus monster. So it's an incredible card. Um, it it's a really crazy package. Um, but yeah, moving on, played a pretty standard adventure package, 3 Enchantress, 1 Griffin Rider. I only ended up playing 1 Rite of Aramis here, and I think that this is like a really good way to play it. Like obviously if you're playing it outside of like a PK deck, you're gonna want to have like multiple copies of Rite of Aramis here in your deck. But with this deck, with Adventure PK, it just feels so consistent. Just because you're a level 3 deck, so you've got access to Cherubini. So if you can extend into get 2 level 3s on the field, you can just make Cherubini and send whatever you're missing as cost. If you don't have an Enchantress or a Rite of Aramis here in hand, and you've got like Cloak and Silent Boots, you just have everything you need. Or if you've just got Cloak and Silent Boots, you can normal, special, link into Cherubini, send this as cost from deck to grave with Cherubini, get your Rite of Aramis here, and then it's just consistent. You're almost always gonna see your enchantresses, and I felt like, well, if I'm always gonna see the enchantress, like no matter what I do, uh, also the Horus package can also mill this from the top 4 cards of your deck, thanks to Vampire Zombie, so you're gonna see it more often. But I was thinking if I'm just gonna see the enchantresses like way more often with this deck, I'm just gonna play 1 Rite of Aramis here just so I don't see like multiple copies too many times. And it really worked. It worked out really well. Uh, Whenever I needed it, I was just use Fateful Adventure, search Enchantress, discard it, banish it, add the right back if I just needed the right. Um, but the one right worked really well, and then the rest of it is just a Fateful Adventure and a Draco back. That is the adventurer package, and I believe next would be the non-engine cards, just 3 Fenrir, crazy card, 3 Ash Blossom. I've played a version on Dueling Book where it's just kind of like board breakers or something. I saw a deck profile that played 3 Droplet, 3 Book of Eclipse, and 3 Imperm as their non-engine. Um, Not having Ash Blossom, not even in the side deck, felt really weird, and I felt like I was kind of just helpless going second. Um, so I ended up changing some things around and just throwing in Ash Blossom. I played 2 Triple Tactics Talents. I played, like I said, I played 3 Prosperity, but I bumped it down to 2 just because it felt so bad drawing multiple copies in the opening hand. And then 3 Imperm. So it it might seem like a lot, but of non-engine maybe, but um, I think it works well for the deck. Um, but yeah, going on to the extra deck. Not technically part of the extra deck, but tokens. Tokens are very important. Um, I played 1 Rusty Bardiche. This card is crazy. I'm pretty sure it was banned at some point, but this sets up your graveyard for PK monsters and sets your Fog Blade straight from the deck to the spell trap card zone. And then if a Dark Exceeds monster is summoned to a zone it points to, you can target a card on the field and destroy it, which gets you into extension plays by using Breaksword. By destroying the Breaksword or going second, you can pop a card your opponent controls. I played 1 SP Little Knight. This card is nuts. The first locals I played, I didn't have this card, so I replaced it with a Sky Striker Ace Azalea, and it kind of accomplished the same thing, but not nearly to the extent that SP Little Knight can do. This is just an insane card. I played 1 Cherubini. Like I said, it's a level 3 deck. This card will send a level 3 monsters from deck to grave for cost, so it's not ashable or imperm or whatever. I played dark. It's a dark deck. You're gonna be able to extend in this guy. It's really useful because I didn't play like IP Masquerena, and so just having this card be available to help extend into Rusty Bardiche is just really nice. Plus, you can steal your opponent's dark monsters like Bestials and stuff. And then for like a little neat little tech card, I played a single copy of Link Spider. Um, just for like, I had the idea because SP Little Knight requires a an effect monster, and if you're going second and you have to use like your adventure package to start like picking at your opponent's board, it you're gonna use your Griffin Rider to negate something, you're gonna use your Draco back to bounce something, and then you're kind of just left with Fateful Adventure and a token that might not be able to beat over something. So I figured that if I was going to use the adventure package to, you know, pick at my opponent's board, after I'm done with that, I can use the token to make Link Spider, and since Link Spider is an effect monster, you can normal summon a PK monster to link into Little Knight and break your opponent's board even more, because this card can effectively get rid of like 2 cards on your opponent's field, which is crazy. But yeah, it's obviously the most cuttable card. I just thought it was kind of a neat little interaction, and when it came up, it kind of worked. It just helped me extend and make use of the adventure package even more. But that is the links. I'll go into the Exceed monsters. I played 2 copies of Phantom Knight's Breaksword. 2 is literally just the perfect amount of Breakswords you can play. If you're playing 3, you're playing too many. If you're playing 1, you're playing too little. This card is amazing because also it can pick at your opponent's board. I played 1 Typhon. Typhon is just really good. It's just randomly won me games on like Dueling Book. If your opponent summons 2 or more extra deck monsters during the last turn or this turn, you can just overlay it with the highest attack monster. So literally, the next turn, if you're going second, your opponent just sets up a board. You can normal summon Ash Blossom and overlay it for Typhon. It's a floodgate for monsters with 3,000 or more attack. They can't activate their effects, and then it's a detach one material to non-target bounce something back or a monster back to the hand. So it's really good. Um, for the rank 8 package for the Horus stuff, I played 1 Dingirsu, non-targeting removal and destruction protection. 1 Vampire Zombie. This card is insane with the Horus package because if you're going first, you can just do Dwalmatef, Happy, overlay for this. It's hand trap bait basically, and if it resolves, you mill the top 4 cards of each player's deck, and then you get to special summon a monster from those milled cards. So you can steal your opponent's monsters if they're helpful to you. But most of the time, I just use this, summon like a Fenrir or sometimes a Griffin Rider if I kind of already had access to the adventure package, which worked pretty well. But yeah, it's just like free information, free summon. It's just a really good card. I played 1 Hope Harbinger, just to fill in the extra deck space, and then 1 Santa Fond. These two didn't really come up. I know one of the other players at some of the locals was playing a Horus package, so I just kind of threw this in to kind of, if I played against them, this card would counter them like hard stop, because Santa Fond Sky Prison says detach 1 until the end of your opponent's next turn. It can't be destroyed by card effects, and neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard. So it's really good. I would have replaced the Hope Harbinger for like a Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, but that card is like $80. And then I played 1 Archrebellion Xyz Dragon and 1 Raiders Knight. This little package is my favorite just because it helps win games just out of nowhere. You use Raiders Knight to rank up into Archrebellion, and then you use Archrebellion to kind of just uh, end the game. It'll get to like 12k attack, 15k easily. And then lastly for the extra deck, 1 Evil Swarm Nightmare. That's kind of on the edge. 1 Evil Swarm Nightmare. It's basically a double Book of Moon, which came up quite a bit. It's just an awesome card. Really easy to make too. But yeah, that is the extra deck. I will go ahead and get into the side deck. Where is it? There it is. So for the side deck, I played 3 Droll Lockbird as the only monster of the extra deck. I didn't really know what other monsters were good in this format like hand traps that are good for the format that's not like already in my main deck. But Droll Lockbird is always a good card. I played 3 Forbidden Droplet at the information of like all the other deck profiles. This didn't really come up a whole lot, which I'm kind of sad about because I like Forbidden Droplet. It's a really good card, and now that Arise Heart is banned, you can play it again. But it really didn't come up much. For spell trap card removal, I played 2 Cosmic and a Harpy's Feather Duster. It's just really good removal. For the trap cards, I played 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance and 3 Evenly Matched. This used to be There Can Be Only One. One of the deck profiles that I saw played There Can Be Only One, and it worked out for them, and I tested it on Dueling Book, and it worked sometimes, but I found that most of the time it was just playing against me rather than like with me. So I felt like this is really a deck that doesn't really need to activate spell cards like turn 3 after your opponent ends their turn. So I just figured Anti-Spell Fragrance might be good just because we kind of lose to Dark Ruler No More or Lightning Storm or something like that. So, Anti-Spell is just a really good counter to that. I don't really know what I would change out for the side deck. I feel like this Forbidden Droplet didn't really do too much, so I might try and figure out what to replace this with. and then I bumped Pot of Prosperity down to 2 because I was just drawing multiple copies too much. But yeah, that is the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys later.